Hello TikTokers, I'm Black Bright News and I wanted to talk about this topic because I had an incident this morning that I found quite disturbing. Well, not disturbing, but it can be disturbing. And it's about the water that we drink. Now, I made a cup of tea and my partner said, "Did you use water from the tap?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, I said, "I boiled it." But he still seemed a bit agitated. And he said, "Don't you know that the water is poisoned?" I thought to myself, how ridiculous is that? But anyway, he told me about contamination in the water. And he couldn't remember the source, but he said that the water wasn't fit to be drunk, even if I boiled it. Well, me being me, I decided to go and check it out. And I think what he was referring to was the tanker that collided with a container in Walsall last year, where the water was contaminated by jet fuel and goodness knows what else. And it took them up until June of this year. They said it was only going to take a week to neutralise the waste and the toxicity, but it took them 9 months to give the all clear. So just in June, 4 months ago, they said it's okay, everything's gone, it's okay. So then I thought to myself, well, what else is there? But when you look at one thing, there are other things. And then I saw about the, let me just go to my notes, otherwise I'm going to run out of time by dithering. Let me see here. Yeah, first of all, what concerned me is that, when you're talking about water that you rely on to cook, to bathe in, to have your tea, stuff like that. It's really concerning if somebody says to you, you can't drink the water, not even if it's boiled. And I thought to myself, this is how fear-mongering starts. This is how people can feel really uncomfortable doing anything. And I don't think my partner meant any harm by it. He was genuinely concerned about what he'd watched on TikTok and or Instagram. And so he's sharing his concerns with me. But when we look on TikTok, we have to be very careful because everybody's an expert. People say they're doctors, people say they're this, people say they're that. And yes, a lot of people, they take part truths and add their own little part to it. And so it can end up sounding worse than what it is. And you can get all kind of theories going around that can make people feel nervous. And my partner, he genuinely worries about me and wants me to be around for a long time. So if he feels that there's something wrong with the water, he's going to warn me about it. So let me tell you what I found. Walsall chemical spill in August 2024. This was when 4,000 litres of sodium cyanide, which is the equivalent of 879 gallons, entered the local canal. No one knows how it happened, but Anachrome Limited was responsible for the spillage and notified the Environment Agency immediately. It caused a 12-mile closure and was only given the all clear 4 months ago, nearly a year later, despite them saying they'd have it all cleared up in a week, which is why people get concerned, because they know it's going to take more than a week. So if you're going to say in the newspaper it's going to take you a week to clear up the spillage, then people are going to think you're hiding something. Anyway, I'm pleased to know that it's only just June of this year that it got the all clear. It did get the relative clear 2 months later in October 2024, but the proper clearance was June this year. And how do they neutralise it? Well, they neutralise it by adding citric acid for bases and sodium bicarbonate for acids. did I say for bases? Yeah, citric acid for bases and sodium bicarbonate for acids. Fears are exacerbated by Emma Hardy, Tory leader, stating that tap water is no longer safe to drink after a parasite outbreak in Brixham, UK. And this was in May 2024, which was before the Walsall chemical incident. So that doesn't help matters, because when you think of somebody at her level suggesting that tap water is no longer safe because of the parasites, she's not even saying it's no longer safe and it can be corrected, and if it's corrected it will be safe. But anyway, people are running with that, so you're going to find a lot of people on TikTok citing that reference from Emma Hardy. There's also concerned about our water. Concerned about our water was further compounded by a collision between the US oil chemical tanker Stena Immaculate, used for transporting jet fuel for US military, which collided with container ship Solong near Grimsby in UK, and that was this year. It contaminated the North Sea with burnt materials and plastic nurdles. Now, nurdles are small lentil-shaped plastic pellets. That is the raw material for nearly all plastic products and is a major source of pollution. This collision caused the release of toxic substances, including jet fuel from the Stena Immaculate. Cleanup is in progress. Experts claim the toxic spill in Walsall could be neutralised within a week. Like I said, it actually took 9 months to get the all clear in June of this year. Everyone is an expert on TikTok, like I said. How do you know who's a doctor? I could say I'm a doctor. I could say I'm an expert. If I speak well and look okay, you might believe it. But you do get people, not everything you hear you have to believe in. Sometimes you have to really investigate properly before you kind of tell people things that might cause them unnecessary concern. So, Walsall chemical spill in August 2024 is still leaving people worried about contaminated water in London. The way you are meant to contain chemical spills, according to AI, is with absorbent socks, then neutralised with sodium bicarbonate for acids and citric acid for bases, if it is safe to do so, like I said before. Is it fear-mongering to suggest it is unsafe to use tap water even after you boil it? I've already said that. The Water Special Measures Act 2025 will address past accusations of lack of accountability for sewage crisis, while introducing new duties to minimise future pollution. And I was wondering if that is closing the gate after the horse has bolted. UK tap water is generally safe to drink, with areas such as Leicester, Birmingham, Southampton and London worse for tap water than areas like Belfast, Scotland and Cardiff. But it's still advisable to boil it before drinking, and tap water is still considered safer than bottled water. The Drinking Water Inspectorate monitors 50 plus parameters from bacteria to chemical levels and publishes annual reports showing compliance rate of 99% as of January 2025. So you can either live in fear or do what you can to minimise any poisons getting into your bloodstream by boiling into the water. I would just like to say that, sometimes you have to use common sense. Sometimes, for me, I always think that when you're ready to go, you're going to go. I can't be living in fear, wondering whether or not, if I drink tap water, am I going to die? Am I going to have this? Am I going to go into an epileptic fit or a shock? Because there's poisons in the water. I think, yes, you could, if it could be considered. Some people say, it's a kind of a deliberately trying to destroy the planet and stuff like that. But by and large, I think the probability is that tap water is safe to drink as long as you boil it if you have concerns. And I think I shall stop it there. I hope you found it useful, and that's all for now. Bye bye.